Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's Bear Clark here on Bear Loves Films, and today I'm going to look at the David Bruckner horror film created in 2017, a Netflix original, The Ritual. Now, this one kind of went under the radar, and I have to give props to the YouTube community because I saw it recommended in one of these, I'm not sure if it's Looper or What Culture was there, the 10 horror films that you missed on Netflix or whatever. And it is basically, this is a non-spoiler review, so anything I talk about is just going to be something that you would see in the trailer. There's no spoilers in here. We start with a group of friends who are out on a night out. They're sort of the mid-30s, late 30s, talking about having a lads' weekend away. Some of them thinking, well, they're too old to go to Ibiza now, and there's that general sort of dynamic of, well, we need to do something, what we're going to do. Something happens to one of that group, and which is quite shocking. It's done very well. It's all over pretty quickly, and then we suddenly fast forward to 6 months later, and what we find ourselves is with the 4 remaining friends are now on a holiday in Sweden, doing a trekking holiday, which is what their dead friend was suggesting as what they should do for their lads' weekend away. So they're doing it as a tribute to their friend. They climb the peaks, they climb the mountains, they go along the normal paths or the well-trodden tourist type paths, and have a little memoriam, a little speech for their friend that they've lost. And during this time they're bantering backwards and forwards, and you get the impression that these are people that have probably been friends since school, and they're still friends, they still care for each other, but there's fractures in there somewhere. They've gone off, they've done their own things, started businesses, started families, changed careers, whatever. They're not quite the people they originally were when they were best friends. And on the way back, as often happens when you have people hiking across mountains in films, somebody injures themselves, which slows everything down. So they have a certain window of opportunity to get back to base camp because they're pretty much in the middle of nowhere. So they decide to go through a forest. Yeah, right. And in fact, the film is smart enough to actually reference this. One of the characters is going to go, "Why, really? We're going through the forest?" To which somebody else says, "Yeah, why?" So that they're already mirroring what the audience is thinking. It is like big dark forests, don't go in, but they go in anyway. And as they go through this forest, certain things befall them. They start to hear things. They see things that creep them out. There's dead animals that are dead in a specific way. There are certain symbols that are appearing on certain trees, etc. And you get this feeling that they really made the wrong move going into the forest. And they pitch for the night, and during that night, some of the sound effects that go around that really start to spook the main character, Luke. He's convinced there's something out there, but the others don't believe him because they didn't hear anything, they just stepped through it. So they carry on hiking through the woods the next day, and eventually, as the rain is pouring and they're all starting to bicker at each other that they shouldn't have come through the forest, they should go back, etc., they come across a really, really spooky, as in, hell no, I'm not going in there, log cabin. So of course they go in there. And again, the film is very clever because it self-references this, because they go into this creaky old cabin covered in, bones and antler horns and God knows what else, and to which one of the characters says, "Well, this is definitely the house we're going to get killed in." And I like that because there's these nice little touches of humour which don't distract from the film but just make it more human. So they bed down for the evening, and they have some really, really messed up dreams. All of them have different types of dreams. All of them wake up in a different situation in the morning. I won't go into the details of it, but it's actually very well done. It is very well done. Now, the journey continues and things start to escalate, as you'd expect. You're working your way through the second act where the dread is pouring on until you get to the third act where real consequences start to happen. You start to lose characters, other things come into the mix. The way you thought the film was changes slightly. There's a difference to the end that maybe you thought it was at the beginning, and I'm not going to spoil it for you. And it's inevitable that you're going to draw comparisons to the Blair Witch Project. To be fair, I don't think there's any film now that has people wandering and lost through the woods in the dark is ever not going to be compared to the Blair Witch Project. And I would say that one thing that it does resemble, or is very similar to the Blair Witch Project, is to really enjoy this film, you need to immerse yourself in it. This isn't one of these films, just like Blair Witch, it's just not one of these films that you can watch with the living room lights on, that you get up and down and make yourself a cup of tea and listen to the dialogue in the background. You need the lights off, you need to watch it at night, you need to focus on it, so it draws you in, because the cinematography is very, very good. The lighting, particularly at night, is perfect. You know, the looking out of a doorway in this cabin and just shining this small torch out into this dense woodland, and you're scanning every inch of this frame, every inch and every twig, just to see, what is it? Is there something there? Am I missing something? It builds up the dread. Now, there are cliches through there. You know, as I said, the guy, you know, there's always somebody that injures themselves and has to slow everyone down and that sort of thing. There's the let's go off the beaten path, let's go into this place we shouldn't do, let's do something everyone knows is a bad idea, but they go and do it anyway. There's a lot of horror cliches in there, but the thing is, it's done very well. The first act, you get a good idea, a good bonding of the characters involved. It's a very small group. You know, you've got these four actors, these four characters bouncing off each other. There's a good dynamic there, as well as some friction. There's some guilt in there from previous events, and there is definitely conflict building. So whilst part of the team is saying we have to stay a team, the only way we're going to survive is being a team, there's also this underlying resentment within the team that may well cause them to fracture and go off in different directions. It pours on the tension. The second act is often the downfall of a lot of films, because you have a setup in Act 1, you have the payoff in Act 3, and the middle act often is dull. But in actual fact, because this is where they start getting the nightmares, where everything starts to ramp up, where you really start to think, what the hell is going on here? The second act really builds the tension. It does it really, really well. There's some very good visual effects in this film. It appears like it didn't use an awful lot of a budget, but when the visual effects come in, it's very, very good. The gore is limited and effective, I would say. The characters, I think the acting is very, very good. I think the ending was sufficient of a payoff without giving you all the answers. And what I did like as well is that at the end, when the film finishes, you think to yourself, okay, they could go and do another film about this subject. They could even use characters or character from the previous film, but it isn't written in that way where you sit there and think, as the final frame goes on, you think, well, there's obviously going to be a sequel. They set it up for a sequel. It doesn't feel set up, so it's a contained movie in its own right. So, in summary, The Ritual, definitely worth seeing. Very much overlooked. It's included on Netflix, so if you're a Netflix subscriber, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't watch it, and I would give The Ritual a B-. Thank you very much, guys. Hope you liked the video. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.